Thank you, Hashem. Okay, this chus of our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. And this should be a refuah shleima for Yechiel Nassim ben Sarah and Aaron David Halevi ben Menucha Lester. I haven't heard from Jimmy. I hope everything's okay with his mother.
Yirmiyahu ben Sarah.
Yirmiyahu ben Sarah also. Okay, we get to start a new parak. I remember the first time I learned this. This was like a summer type parak, and there was a seed program that came to Rhode Island. You know what that is? Yeshiva Bachrim, they come. Anyway, so I was a little boy, and I would go through Beis Medrash. They taught us this parak. Okay, so Re'u Bezdin V'chol Yisrael. If usually there would be the Bezdin was probably inside, and then witnesses would show up from someplace. Here the story is. It looks like everyone's outside. Re'u Bezdin V'chol Yisrael. Everyone saw the moon. There's going to be another case. It looks like it's the same case in the Mishnah. The Gemara is going to explain it's another case. Could be even V'chol Yisrael is another case. But Nechkru Eidim. Let's say the witnesses were already interrogated. And then it got dark and they weren't able to say Mekudesh. That's the pronouncement that would make it into the new month. So they lost the chance. It becomes a leap month. Yeah, it's a little confusing because before we said possibly that at the end of the day it would go back and we would consider the day, that entire day Rosh Chodesh. So maybe you could do it retroactively. I mean, there's discussion about this, but over here, for whatever reason, you can't do it retroactively entirely. You can't say, oh, yesterday was Rosh Chodesh. You can say that the beginning of the day was Rosh Chodesh and we'll finish it as Rosh Chodesh.
On Perek Dalet?
We're on Perek Shlishi. So, I'm sorry, Chafei Amud Beis. So it becomes a leap month, a 30-day month, and the 31st day is Rosh Chodesh.
Does this mean that they witnessed it during daytime?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
It sounds like,
Sounds like they witnessed it during, but we can see in the Gemara that there's going to be a detail there that's going to switch this. Right. And then it got dark. What is Bein Hashmashos when it comes to this? Probably too late. Is Bein Hashmashos still acceptable to pronounce it? We're probably machmer.
Well, I was when you said this, I was curious because the way I always understood it is they're coming from all over, so they don't even necessarily show up till the next day.
Right.
So what it got dark, it's too late now to miss a chance. They
Right.
always pronounce it retroactively. That's the way
Right. Yeah.
I always understood it.
Yeah.
I don't think they could pronounce an entire day retroactive. I think
Fine.
they would just be
Fine, they would
retroactive.
say, like, let's say they witnesses came at 10 in the morning, let's just say, and they were able to say, Kiddush today is now Rosh Chodesh. So yeah, we missed out last night, but today is Rosh Chodesh.
So on the 30th day,
That's what
let's say the witnesses show up on the 30th. Anytime on the 30th day, they could say that today's Rosh Chodesh, which would mean that retroactively, starting from the previous night, is all considered Rosh Chodesh. But once it becomes the 31st, then they can't go back and say, oh, yesterday was Rosh Chodesh. That's what it appears. Re'u Bezdin Bilvad. Let's say Bezdin saw it. Okay. We're talking about a Bezdin of 23 judges. That's what I'm taking from Tosfos. He says, Yamdu Shnayim v'yidu b'fneim. So two of the judges stand up and they turn into witnesses and they testify in front of the others and they say you only need three people. V'yomru mekudesh mekudesh. And then the other judges that are there, it's fine. 21 judges. Or three of them. They say mekudesh mekudesh, no problem. Re'u shleisha v'hein bezdin. What if there's only three people that saw? Now, yamdu ashnayim. So two of them stand up. There leaves one sitting. They take other people and they sit them down. Some of them probably students or whatever. They sit them down next to the one that was remaining there. And the two that stood up testify. Because you can't have one judge.
no, one witness.
One witness. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
You
Rashi
have-
says,
You have the one judge, plus they're taking two
Yeah.
lay
Rashi says
individuals.
that Sheni Yachid Ne'eman, he says Leimer Makudesh B'fnei Atzmai. Yeah, the word Ne'eman means it's not trusted. I would like to put with witnesses, but apparently that's not what the Mishnah is saying. It's saying Sheni Yachid Ne'eman al Yidei Atzmai. We can't have him as a judge, and that's why we have to bring the other people in there. Yeah.
Another exception.
I think you're right. I think
Of having a single judge.
No, that the judge can be the aide.
Oh, that's the Gemara's going to discuss. Yeah, the Gemara's going to jump into that. It's a big discussion.
I think
Kind of.
I think you're right the first time. I think it's the judge. It's not the.
Yeah, the judge. That's according to Rashi. That's what it means. Sheni Yachid Ne'eman al Yidei Atzmai. The word Ne'eman is like an interesting word. It's not trusted. It's not like a trust thing. It's
Yeah, you
It's
can't say
a-
that about a judge. If the judge is not named on, we have bigger problems.
Says here, not
Much
authorized.
bigger problem.
what is it?
Says not authorized.
Not authorized. Okay, that's a different word, but okay. Lamali lemisniru bezdin v'chol Yisrael. Why does it have to say? Well, what are we getting from the story? I mean, what's our point? That it goes, you can't go back and do make the month retroactively, the day previously sanctified. What are you adding by B'chol Yisrael? And all the Jewish people also. The Gemara says, well, it's true. It is necessary because Salkadait Chamina Hayol Beru Best in B'chol Yisrael Ifarsim Alav V'Leilav Ruah. Since everyone saw the moon. So it's as if they said Mekudesh maybe. Or maybe they didn't want to mess up with what everyone was thinking. Everyone already saw the moon. So maybe they should, I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe it should become sanctified without saying Mekudesh or something. Kamash Milan, that it doesn't work like that. So in other words, we're adding in one detail with the term with V'chol Yisrael, that even though it was like well known that they saw the moon already, nevertheless, it did not become Rosh Chodesh. So why do you have to go on and say, oh, they started to interrogate the witnesses, but they didn't get a chance? The Gemara says, this is what it's saying. That's another case. So far we have two cases. We have Bezdin V'chol Yisrael saw. Why does it have to add that detail in Bezdin V'chol Yisrael? Why do you need that? Well, it's coming to tell me that even though everyone knew, you still don't make it Rosh Chodesh. Now we have another case. Nachkura Eidim. If the witness were interrogated, but they didn't get a chance to say Mekudesh, you also don't make it into Rosh Chodesh. The Gemara now asks, so given the Tanat Shachashecha we already said Ad Shachashecha. I mean, that was part of the first case. So why do you have to tell me the same story again with the witnesses being interrogated? The Gemara comes up with a very interesting chiddush. It says Itzchach. Sal Kedait Chamin, Itzchach means it's necessary. Now, each of these cases is necessary. The Gemara learns the Mishnah the way we would learn a pasuk in the Torah. Every word is. So Sal Kedait Chamin Eteh Bechakir Sedim Ketchilas Din. Interrogating the witnesses is like the beginning of the court case.
Yeah, like cross-examining.
You're right. Mekudesh Kegmardin. The Gemardin is the verdict. And when they pronounce Mekudesh, that it's sanctified, that's considered the end of the case. So Velakachi Balayla, Midi Haviadini Mamanis, they should be able to do the verdict at night. Because when it comes to a monetary case, they spend all day going back and forth in the court, listening to the testimonies and then discussing what the law should be. And they're allowed to finish the case at night to say what the verdict is. They're allowed to finish it at night. So maybe over here, Chakira Seidim, the interrogating the witnesses would be by day, and the verdict is allowed to be by night. Mekudesh. Why are they saying that they can't do it by night? The Tanan, as it was taught in the Mishnah, Dini Maman is done by Yom V'Gam Balayla. If it would be a monetary case, it would be no problem. So here too, what we're saying is that the examining the witnesses, that was taking place by day. They could finish it by night. Gemara says Kamash Malan that's not how it works. The pronouncement of Mekudesh needs to be by day.
Oh.
Well, that's what we're seeing from the Mishnah.
Oh, okay.
And so why did we get into this? And like we're leading you on, thinking that we're going to switch it, is because we were trying to say that why do we have to discuss in the Mishnah interrogating the witnesses? Because I could have thought that would lead you to believe that you could finish it by night. Kamash Malan, that you can't finish it by night. The Gemara says, "Ve'im hachinami." You've convinced me so well. Maybe it's taka true. What's going on over there, Dr. Stein? You're trying to get into the building? Or?
No, we're walking.
Exercise.
We're walking
Oh,
from our homes to the shir.
Yeah, schar alicha. Okay, very nice. You sure you're going the right way?
Oh my God, you're right. Oh, I didn't see.
Okay, so maybe it's actually acceptable to finish the case by night. So Amar Kra, we quote the pasuk, Ki chayk Yisraelu mishpat lelekei Yaakov. It's a statute of Israel. It's a judgment to the God of Yaakov, of the God of Yaakov. Now, chayk Yisrael is the Kiddush HaChedesh. We're talking about Rosh Hashanah, right? So it's a statute and it's mishpat. Mishpat means judgment. When is it the statute? B'gemar din. That's going to be at the declaration, at the conclusion. V'kakari le'rachmana mishpat. In the mishpat itself is the declaration. Ma mishpat bayayim, afachanami bayayim. The declaration Mekudesh needs to be by day. In other words, we were thinking that the mishpat, in a regular case, what's the mishpat? Is the back and forth of the case. And then the Gemar Din, it's not the mishpat. The Gemar Din is just the law. The judgment, the sitting in court is the mishpat. That's in a regular monetary case. Here we're saying mishpat when it comes to Kiddush HaChodesh is the verdict. And so whenever it's mishpat, it needs to be by day. Yeah.
Is that the real issue at hand, or is the issue at hand that because we're dealing with a declaration of a given day, and once it becomes night, we're cycling to the next day? And that's a substantial difference, because we're dealing with a monetary transaction. The reason that they're allowed to do the judgment at night is so that the one that has the money belonging to him should not have to go to sleep pending the judgment.
I hear what you're saying.
And here, the situation is that once we wait for
It becomes the next day.
it becomes the next day, and you can't do the retroactive,
they're
so now
saying
you've
it's very
lost the
good.
opportunity.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
He's gonna get a trophy. We're almost there. He's gonna get a trophy.
No, he's saying a fine point that maybe it doesn't have to do with night. Maybe it has to do with the transition from the 30th day to the 31st day. Because once it becomes night, it becomes the 31st day. Forget about the night thing. It's a different day.
It's almost just like that's just the discerning event
Yeah.
is turning night.
Yeah.
But what does it really mean?
Yeah.
It means that it's
Yeah,
changed.
that's a very good point. I don't know why the Gemara doesn't stress that. Yeah, someone one time told me about putting on tefillin. You're supposed to put on tefillin by day, not by night. Let's say someone missed putting on tefillin and it's night. Should he put it on? So he said, well, if he puts it on, he's putting it on for tomorrow, not for today. So it's not. That's sort of your point, that it's not. It's not the night issue. It's the wrong day issue.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm not seeing that in the Gemara. That's why. Yeah. Okay, very nice.
It could be known whether or not it's Rosh Chodesh, but it's not pronounced until the day.
Until right. In the pronouncement, we're saying it's the big deal.
So
Right.
like it could just be common knowledge, but it's not pronounced.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
It's not clear from here. There's pilot is on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Right? So when's Rosh Chodesh? Tuesday or Wednesday?
yeah, but I think we do it usually within 24 hours or something. Or
Practice speaking. The way we're learning it here.
yeah, you saw the new moon. How do you know it's the new moon? Maybe it's the old moon.
No, you couldn't see the new moon. We just learned yesterday that whether you don't see it in the morning or not.
The new moon.
The calendar has shifted over the centuries. It's no longer 100% accurate where it was. Not designed to last forever.
So 1 second. 1 second. That's a fine detail, but
Not there it's shown.
You
no.
able to see it this morning?
What time?
Yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning I saw it.
No, that
When
was
we
Is
left
it-
here, I saw it was a very.
That would be the old
I have a
one.
picture of it. That was not the new moon yet.
That would be the old one
The old one.
Up by
The Eastern?
in the eastern. Yeah.
Before sunrise.
It was yesterday. It was way
Yeah.
too high up in the sky.
It would be.
It wasn't very high when we left here. So it wasn't the eastern sky. And it was just a sliver on the bottom. As I was driving, I was looking, I was like,
Okay. I'm not sure if it's going to make a difference. What's going to make a difference if you go to Israel when?
It'll make a difference what time.
What time?
For sure.
Okay. Let's go
No, no.
further. Yeah.
When we say the court, it has to be the Sanhedrin or like the main court in Jerusalem. That's the only one that has authority to.
Apparently, over here we were looking at three judges.
Just any three judges.
That's what we were seeing.
So how do you know that
Which
different
court
courts
was
didn't?
doing it? That's a good question. 23.
Says it's a lesser amount from the base synagogue.
Yeah, there was something about 5 judges.
For this purpose.
Yeah.
I thought it was because they had to be drawn from the sun.
Uh-huh. Maybe Reb Naftali is saying that they were drawn from the Sanhedrin Agadol. Yeah. But it still could be confusing. Let's say there's people ended up in different places. When I was working in the Best and there was a rule, we weren't allowed to do anything on the side. Only with the Best and any no side Best in work. Either it's authorized or you don't do it. It's either it's the whole Best in together. I'm not gonna sit with other Rabbanim on a different Best and do anything. So here we're saying that, let's say,
exclusive.
yeah, you sort of like, that's the word. Now, here, what Daniel is bringing up is that you have 71 judges, whatever. 3 of them ended up in this city for Shabbos. 3 of them are over there. Oh, the moon. Okay, so it had to be in Jerusalem. I didn't notice that, but okay. Okay, that would resolve the issue, I guess. Ru'u Bezdin. Yam Dishnayim v'Yid b'fneim. If the Bezdin saw, then 2 people would stand up and testify. And then, okay, that was not a problem because it was a Bezdin of 23 judges. Now the question is, why do you need the testimony at all? What are you going to do? You're going to repeat the story that everyone saw? We saw the moon at this time, like we were there with you. You don't have to tell us anything. You're telling us the story. Is not we watched it together. Why do they need that testimony? You hear what's happening? They saw it by night. They saw it by night. Everyone saw it by night. But in order to get the case back in session, that they should be able to just pronounce Makudesh on something that took place, so we needed testimony of people to come in and then to say it, and then they say Makudesh, because there was a delay there. So the testimony is not because they didn't know it. The testimony is just to start the case again, to be able to pronounce Makudesh on what happened. Okay.
The delay is from what exactly? Is it
It's from night to day. because everyone saw it by night. Now it says, Rosh Leishavim Bezdin Yamdushnai Veshiva Mechavre Metzala Yachid. Here, two of the Bezdin stand up. There were only three people. And then they need other people to sit together with the individual to create a Bezdin of three people. Amai, why do they need to do that? Why do they need to do that? Why does anyone need to stand up? The three of them just sit there and they say Makudesh. They all saw it. If you're going to tell me you answered this already, that it was by night, so then Hainu then what are you going to do? Just keep repeating the same case of the Mishnah, the way they saw it by night? That's the last case of the Mishnah. This case of the Mishnah is probably where it wasn't by night. And nevertheless, they need to stand up. So the Gemara says, the chiddush over here is that you can't have an individual sitting alone in judgment, and when it comes to kiddush hachodesh, the sal kedai t'chamina, because it could have entertained the thought hayol utanya, because I think it was taught in a brisa. Dini mamanas b'shleisha. You have three judges for a monetary case. If this is an expert, then I feel he could judge you even alone. So I could have thought that maybe I can have an expert, a Rabbi Gamliel or something, that could sit there and accept the witnesses as an individual. Kamash Malon, that it doesn't work like that. You need three judges. How do you know it doesn't work like that? Maybe it does. Maybe you can have one judge. It says, we had no greater expert than Moshe Rabbeinu. That you can't do it unless you have Aaron. Hashem spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying that this month is the first of the months, and Kazera Eva Kadesh, like this. When you see it like that, that's when you sanctify it. That means you need Aaron. It means you need two. And where's the third one? Miriam. No, I'm kidding. The third one must be Hashem. That's like the Kim Nitzav Daskeli sits with the judges. That's probably the pshat.
The judges made their declaration. They stood up, you said?
No. Yeah. Does it say Yamdu? No, it says the witnesses stood up. Yeah, the judges would sit. Yeah, I remember in the best of months I was leaning when I was saying, it was about a get. I had to say that I saw the witnesses sign when I was leaning. I said, can you repeat that again without leaning? You have to stand. It's like Shemon Esrei. So, but yeah, you shouldn't lean when you get an aliyah. It says that. No, is telling me that it needs to be Moshe and Aaron, which means that there needs to be three judges. Based on the fact that there were two there, that means not one. Yeah, that is the pasuk. That is the pasuk. That's the introduction. Yeah, the introduction to that pasuk is Vayemer Shem Moshe vel Aaron. Okay. This is a safe pasuk in the middle. Yeah. It's the same parsha. Rashi says that Hashem never spoke to Aaron. It's just coming to tell us that they're equal. You remember that Rashi? Hashem Moshe vel Aaron. Hashem spoke to Moshe to say to Aaron. Rashi and Chumash says it. Okay.
By the Koran has a note that in Midrash says that God himself joined Moses and Aaron as a third judge.
Very good. Very good. So that's the third. He's quoting a Midrash that Hashem joined the Moshe and Aaron. So.
What did you end up saying? That this is all one pasuk?
But no, it's one parsha. It's the introduction. Yeah.
So that's bringing down to connect this.
No, I don't think it's I don't think so. I don't think it's necessary because it's the introduction to Kiddush HaChedesh is Hashem telling Moshe and Aaron. Hashem tell Moshe. Says to Moshe and to Aaron. It's coming to tell me that I need more than one judge, which means two judges, but I never do a court that's equal. So I always I need to have a third. Okay, now the Gemara says, "L'meimer de'ed nasadayan." Comes out, this is the sugi that you're looking for. Turns out that a witness could become a judge. There's an inherent problem with that, as we'll see. Here, it's a aid nasadayan. The witnesses that saw the moon are now sitting down and accepting the witnesses. And as everyone saw the moon. Yeah, but I'm not concerned about a judge being a witness, because a judge is just a label that he has on his collar. That's not, right now right now he's not a judge. Right now he's a witness. But the witness that actually saw the event to sit down and make believe that, oh, I'm going to listen to you and hear what you're saying, and I'm going to judge based on your testimony. That's an aid nasadayan. He himself witnessed it.
Which means that he's biased.
He's biased. Yeah.
Why is he becoming a diet? They only need 3.
No, but from those 3, they also witnessed the moon as well.
There were 70 judges.
Let's say there's 70, let's say there's 22, but they all saw the moon.
Right.
2 of them stand up and testify in front of them.
Right.
The problem is that if you see the event in other types of cases, if you're a witness, you can't be on the case.
You can't be partial.
Yeah.
So just listening to the testimony.
One of the reasons for that is it has to be, the bias, yeah, but it also has to be a type of testimony that could be disproven. And over here,
You can't testify against yourself. You have
Yeah.
to be able to find the person's line.
yeah, we'll see in the Gemara is going to mention. Okay, Leimas Nisan Blake Rabbi Akiva. Let's say that our Mishnah doesn't fit with the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Sanhedrin shorachet sharagas nefesh. Sanhedrin sees a murder. Bad luck on this guy.
Yeah.
Didn't realize he was right in front of the police station or something, the courthouse. Miktsasa nasu edim, miktsasa nasu dayanim. They divide up, they split up. Some of them become witnesses, some of them become the judges, and they'll bring the case. Divrei Reb Tarfon, that's Reb Tarfon's opinion. Rabbi Kiva Omer, kulam nasu edim. They all become witnesses. None of them could be judges. They have to find another court.
You don't have the jury's availability yet, because if they all agree, then they have to let them go free.
Oh,
Since everyone.
Dr. Stein is bringing up a good point. Everyone's going to say that he's guilty, and then he goes free, because there has to be a very interesting, yeah.
I don't get it.
No, there's a very interesting rule in the Jewish court that that if it's unanimous that he's guilty, then it can't be that they did the case right. It has to be, yeah. It can't. It has to be that there's a dissenting opinion. That's one of the opinions.
Because if you can't find any reason that he's any such push.
Why is such a case?
Yeah, that's another
I
shot.
think it's
That's another shot. There's a right in capital cases. So Rabbi Kiva says no, that they have to go to another court and they're all witnesses. So the Gemara answers that it actually, in our case, could be Rabbi Akiva. Fil tim Rabbi Akiva. Ad kan like Rabbi Akiva hasamel bedine nefashis. It's only with capital cases. The Rachmana Amar v'shaftu eid v'tzilei, that you would judge the congregation and you'll save, exonerate. Ukivan the chazu, the chazyuhu, the katal nafshal ematzah chazal ezuchusa. If they saw what he did, they won't be able to find the merit. But over here, Rabbi Kiva would agree that there's no din over here to exonerate the person. You should at least look for a way to see that he's not guilty. You don't have to do this. This is a pronouncement that they make that it's Rosh Chodesh. We have a new Mishnah, Kol HaShefer Ksheim Chutz Mishal Para. You can use any shefer, except of a cow. A para is a female cow. Mipnei Shu Keren, because that's not a shefer, that's a horn. Amar Rabbi Yossi, V'alei Kol HaShefers Nikru Keren. Shnem b'msheich bekeren hayovel. Quotes a pasuk in Yeshua. That must be when they by Yerichai. He says all shofars are called a keren. You're going to invalidate every shofar because it's called a keren. What's a yovel? A yovel is a ram, a male sheep, which of course that is a kosher shofar. That's the main one was the ram. It's the main shofar, and you see it's called when they blow the ram's horn, and that's a shofar, and it's called a horn. It's called not a shofar. It's called a keren. So Rabbi Yossi claims that even a cow horn is going to be kosher. It's machlokes. Rabbi Yossi and the Tanakama. It is, yeah. When the wall comes down, when they. Yovel is an ayil, a ram. Dicher means male, but a male sheep. It doesn't say sheep, but it's always used as a sheep. Yovel here means the male sheep. Yeah, where are we going to get to? The Gemara on the bottom.
It's at the declaration of the Yovel?
No. It's a word that's used for Yovel. It's also used for a male sheep. Yeah, we'll see on the bottom on the Gemara.
What's the trick question? Who is asking that Korban Pesach?
Female and male.
If it has a baby, is it a Korban Pesach or not? Yeah. The Gemara says, "Shapikam Rabbi Yossi." Rabbi Yossi has a good claim. What are you telling me? What's the Tanakama's response to that? Right? Looks like Rabbi Yossi's right. What's a pasuk that a ram is called a keren? The Rabbanan. What do the Rabbanan say? Kol ha-shofar sikru shofar vikru keren. You see, they have no problem with it being called keren. They're just saying that it's also called shofar. But the para keren ikri shofar lo yakri. We never find in the Torah that a cow, the horn of a cow, is called a shofar. We only find that it's called a keren. By other animals, we find that it's called a keren, but that doesn't invalidate it because it's also called a shofar. So it's not the keren that invalidates, the lack of being called. Yeah, the ksiv, it says, Bechar Shairei, the firstborn is his ox, that's a cow. Hadar Lai is beauty for him. Bekarnei Re'im Karnav, in the horns of a Re'im. What's a Re'im in English? What's a
bull?
Oh.
Says here wild ox.
Wild ox.
Wild ox.
Re'im is a wild ox. Okay, and he has the horns of a wild ox. So we're talking about a cow family. Why does it have to say a para? It could be a par as well, but whatever. So
Oryx.
what is it?
Oryx.
Oryx. And what is an oryx? A buffalo. Maybe. But what we're talking about is that the horn on the shar is a keren. Okay. Rabbi Yossi Amalach, the Paranami Yakri Shofar. We actually find, how's he going to do this? This is going to be a tough one. They're going to argue about if you're going to find in the Torah the horn of a cow being called shofar. Watch this. It says in the Torah that a horn of a cow is a shofar. Why? The ksiv, v'sitav l'Hashem mishar par. It's better. It's going to be more pleasant to Hashem than shar par, ox, a bull. Im shar lama par. If it's an ox, then why are you telling me it's a bull? Im par lama shar. That's the same animal, by the way. It's just a different age. It's a year later. So then why are you telling me it's a shar? Elamai shar par. What does it mean, shar par? Mishayfar. Put the two words together. It's better than a shaif. We're talking. This is talking about. Prayers, Rashi says, it's talking about the prayers will be greater than the shofar, but we're talking about here, then I guess the horn that's going to be on a cow. Okay.
I never realized an ox and a bull are the same animal.
Yeah,
No, I gave him a trophy.
yeah. I wouldn't have known that, but the Gemara said it somewhere else. So
It
remember we
sounds
had
like Purim Torah.
Oh yeah, it sounds like parent. I hear, yeah. Yeah, the Gemara has that too. So yeah. V'Rabbanan. Yeah, recently, well, I may have said this before, but it's a beautiful pshat in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Ma David shleilamad machiteifel el shnei dvarim belvad in Kara Rabbi Aluf Midai. David learned from Achiteifel only two things, and he calls him his teacher. So Kal v'chaimer, someone learns one thing from someone, for sure you should call him his teacher. So everyone asks, that's not a Kal v'chaimer. If he learned three things from someone, but not less than what he learned from Achiteifel, right? So it's a strong question. Anyway, Rabbi Hertz, Rabbi Dr. Hertz, from England, the chief rabbi. So he says that he has a good pshat. Not two things, but shenidbarim, that they were talking. He didn't learn from Achiteifel, they were just schmoozing. And he calls him to his teacher, Kal v'chaimer, someone that learns something. Anyway, he writes that he asked some non-Jewish professor in the university that knows the Mishnah as well, I forgot his name, and he agrees that this is a good pshat. Anyway, I found the book of this professor on Pirkei Avos, and he writes in the book, he says, Rabbi Hertz has a good pshat over here.
Great job.
Anyway, so that's combining the words together, you come up with a new story.
This is for finding the book from the English professor.
Oh, what it's
An ox is a castrated bull.
an ox.
An
Okay.
ox is used for work,
Uh-huh.
and a bull is used for meat.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Once it's castrated, or before it's castrated, it's much fuller than its work.
Uh-huh.
Avram
Avram tells me that according to Google, an ox is a castrated bull. Yeah, but in the Torah, shor is just a younger animal. It's 2 years old, and a par is 3 years old, and an egel is 1 year old, is within its first year. So egel, shor, par is the three stages.
So it's tame after it's castrated?
Okay.
Yeah, once it's castrated,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's go on. The Rabbanan. What did the Rabbanan say? They said that it's not. I'm sorry. What did the Rabbanan say about this sharpar? Rav Masna, like Rav Masna says, the Rav Masna, my sharpar, shehu gadol kipar. It's as big as a par. It's not a shofar. We're talking about the original ox that was made when Hashem created the world. What came first, the chicken or the egg? So he made an ox that was the size of a par. It was a. Uh-huh.
We learned that actually.
Okay. Ula has another pshat over here. Ula marhaina taima de Rabbanan. What's the reason for the Rabbanan? What's the reason for the Rabbanan? The Rabbanan say you can't use a shofar from a cow. Could Rav Chizda, like Rav Chizda says, is it possible Ula's quoting Rav Chizda? What does it say on the charts? Could be. Ula is like a student of Rabbi Yochanan, I think, and Rav Chizda would be around the same time. Rabbi Yochanan is the time of Rav. Rav and Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan, they were the same generation. Rav Chizda would be like a generation and a half removed from that, and Ula would be is a contemporary of Rav Chizda. It says Kid Rav Chizda, Dam Rav Chizda, Mepnei Kain Gadol Nichnas Bebig Deizav Lefnai V'Lefnim Lavid Aveda. Why does the Kain Gadol? Remember we learned Yuma. The Kain Gadol has to take off the golden garments in order to go inside the Kodesh HaKodashim. He has to wear only white linen, no gold. Why does he do that? Because the prosecutor can't be the defender, and because he's going to defend the Jewish people from the sin of the golden calf, he can't come in wearing gold, and that's really not the right thing to do. So therefore, we don't want to use on Rosh Hashanah a shofar from a par because that's also the calf. The egel is from the par family, so we don't use a par. Forget about the horn. V'loi, you never do this. You never use
Is an ox considered a par?
Yeah. It says you don't use anything from a cow. Take it inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. It says v'hayika dam par. They sprinkled the blood inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Right? It says hayel v'shtani ishtani. Over there, it's not a cow. Over there, it's blood. It's once you changed it, it's not really the same thing. V'hayika aron v'kapayra sukruv. What about the gold that's there already? You have the aron was made out of gold, at least the outer and inner layer. The kapayras, the lid was gold, and the kruvim were gold. It was banged in the middle, and they protruded on the side. It shouldn't be any gold in there. It says chayte bal yakriv kamrinan. The sinner should not bring it in. We're not talking about what's already there. But what about the spoon and the fire pan that he brings in when he goes in with the ketairas? Over there, that's gold. He should not be bringing in gold. It says chayte bal yisna kamrinan. He shouldn't decorate himself with gold. But this was just a tool. That's not a problem. Big day zav mi bachutz, but he has golden clothes outside. It says mi bifnim kamrinan. We're talking about taking it inside. This is all a setup. The Gemara was leading us to say this. And then it says, well, shofar nami mi bachutzu. So the shofar is also blown outside. You follow that train of thought? It like led us on to get to that question. We say there's a difference in inside and outside. So why are you telling me about a shofar? Shofar doesn't go, you don't blow it in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. It says, well, kivan del zikarin hu kibifnim dami. Because it's going to cause Hashem to remember. So it's like going inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Yeah, I don't have an explanation for that. That's what it says. But Tana b'fnei shu yeah.
Isn't it that kivan zikaron hu? Because it is to bring forth remembrances.
Right.
And the remembrances, the zikaron, should bring back the part for the egel.
Right. It
So
should not.
The word
Right.
the zikaron is.
Right. Right. But the only thing is there was a comparison. There was a we said that it would only be in the Kodesh HaKadoshim that this issue would be. So now we're saying, well, any zikaron is now like the Kodesh HaKadoshim.
Because it's useful as zikaron, and the zikaron is to remember the calf, the golden calf.
In the Kodesh HaKadoshim is also to remember, I guess, our good deeds or something. Okay. But we have a problem over here because the Mishnah said a different reason. The Mishnah said, why did the rabbis not allow a par? Because it's called a horn. Comes along, Ula, says the name of Rav Chisda. You know why you can't use a par? Because it's the prosecutor can't be the defendant. This is a nice pshat, but it doesn't say it. So the Gemara says, Chadavait Kamar. There's two reasons. Okay, he added another reason. There was one that they didn't mention, but there's two reasons now. Okay. Rabbi Yossi said, Rabbi Yossi Amalach, now we're explaining that why are you allowed to? He doesn't accept that idea of zikaron means automatically that it's considered inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim because it's a remembrance. He says it's not inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and that's the only issue. You tell me that because it's called a horn, it's not called a shofar. Rabbi Yossi claims kol shofars nam yikru keren. Everything is also called a keren. All shofars are called a keren, and they're not invalid. So therefore, you can use a cow as well. Abaye Amar, they have these shofar factories where they come around to the schools and they do and they bring the horns. I hope that they're not getting a cow horn. I wouldn't be able to tell. I bet a farmer would be able to tell, but I don't know.
So, seems to be a difference in a par and a para, right? Like a male.
A male and female.
But it's interesting that it says specifically that the female one in the Mishnah, because that's the remembrance. The male one is not.
I hear. There is a source that the female one, it says what the Rashi by the Paraduma. Rashi says, "What is the Paraduma? What are you doing?" It says, "Let the mother come and clean up the mess of the child."
Right.
So that may be why we're quoting here. The Mishnah said para, and now we're talking about. Did we mention what we're dealing with here? No, we're still para. We're still dealing with the female. The female. Yeah. The calf itself, the golden calf, was a male or a female? Egel, it would be. Would be a egla? Was it? Egla would be a female, right? So it was a male,
Yes.
which makes it a little bit worse. It makes the comparison where if you really wanted to tell me what you shouldn't use, you should have told me the par, and maybe that's the chiddush, that you can't use either. That's the bar. You can't use either. You can't use a par, which that would be the obvious. You can't even use a para because they're related. That's what it's. Yeah, I think that's how it's. Okay, Abaya says, "Hainu tamayu derabanan." The reason for the rabbis is shofar amar rachmana v'lei shnayim v'shleisha shofars. You can only use one shofar, not two or three. Now we're getting some description over here of how to tell if it's a cow horn. Why? Because every year it grows another like little loop, little indent, and it looks like it's separate shofars. So you're only supposed to use one shofar, and this looks like it's several shofars. But Tana b'nei Shu Karen Kamer, we asked the obvious question, but that's not what it said in the Mishnah. You're coming up with a new problem. So it says, well, Chadavait Kamer. We give the answer that we gave before, that there's two reasons. Chadav the shofar, Echad Amar Rachmana v'lei Shnayim v'shleisha shofars. It can't be two or three shofars. V'ed b'nei Shu Karen. What does Rabbi Yossi say? Rabbi Yossi Amalach, the Ka'amrit shofar Echad Amar Rachmana v'lei Shnayim v'shleisha shofars, given the Mechabri Adadi Chadu, it's not separate shofars. It's one shofar. It's all connected. It grows together. It's like the rings in the tree. It's not different trees.
Said you couldn't use a para.
Yeah.
Right? What was the reason?
Because it's called a keren. That's the Mishnah. But now we had Ula and Abaya that add two or more reasons.
Let's back up. With the gold stuff and everything, you said,
yeah, that was Ula. Ula quoting Rav Chesed, right?
We asked the question, but what about all the gold that the Kohen and the other one?
Yeah.
And we said, since he's representing the
Right,
people,
right.
that doesn't count.
No, we said that was outside the Kodesh HaKodashim. He never wore the gold inside.
Okay, so Paraduma that died outside the Kodesh HaKodashim represented the sins of the people. No, so why didn't we say Zechla Paraduma? It's one of the It's the same reason.
Uh-huh. No, that's a cleansing. The Paraduma is a cleansing of the sin. It wouldn't be a problem.
Isn't everything that the Kohen is-
Yeah, the problem is that we don't want to use gold because that was what the sin was. Right? With the Kamret b'mtei Shu Karen. You said that it's a horn. Well, Rabbi Yossi says Kol HaShever Nam Yakir Karen. Okay, let's go back. The Gemara is going to say now, my mashma dahayuvla lishna dedichrahu. This was your question. Where do you come up with this? That yovel, b'mshaych karen yovel means a ram. Yovel usually means something else. It means the 50th year or something. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, Kishalachti la'arbia. When I went to Arabia, hayakarin ledichra yuvla. That's what they called it. They called it a yuvla. That's it. Okay. So the Torah uses the term that they got, that was a language from Arabia, in the Marcus Lehman book, the Akiva.
Yeah.
So he recreates the stories of the Tanaim, So he would say that, part of the story was Akiva on a trip to Arabia, and over there was a ram and a farm, another conversation they'll put in with, Rabbi Akiva also says, when I went to this place called Galia, so they called over there a nida, a woman that's menstruating, they called it Galmuda. My Galmuda, what is Galmuda? Gemula Dami Baila, she's separated from her husband. Okay, Muvdelas, Rashi tells us, is gemula. It's an interesting word. Rabbi Kiva kashalachti la'Afriki. Rabbi Kiva says, when I went to Africa, hayakarin lama ksita. They called a ma is a sixth of a zuz. Sixth of a dinar. A dinar and a zuz, the same thing. A sixth of a dinar or a zuz. They called it ksita. L'may nafkamina. What's the difference? What they call it? Lefrushe, to explain the pasuk of Meya Ksita Dairaisa. It says Meya Ksita in the Torah. What does that mean? Meya donkey. When Avram bought the, it was 100 ma. 100 ma. Yaakov Bat Shem, I'm sorry. That was Eivel Aseicha. Thank you. Yaakov Bat Shem, correction. Yaakov Bat Shem for 100 ma. Okay. Thank you.
I know that's from seven.
No, that's a different.
I know.
Okay. Amar Rebbe Kashalachti Lakrachi Ayam. Rebbe says when I went to the islands, I wonder if that means Greece. I don't know. Kira. They called business Kira. L'may nafkamina. What's it coming to tell me? Lefrushe asher karisili, that I purchased. That's also again Shem, right? Is that Yaakov telling Yosef? Asher that I purchased, that I bought. That's what karisi means. Amar Shimon ben Lakish, Kashalachti l'tchum kan nasharia. When I went to that place, or the tchum of that place, hayakarin lakala ninfi or latarnagal sechvi. This is discussing language here. This is what they call the kala. They call the kala ninfi, and they call the. I'm sorry.
Sounds like all these guys were on shluch.
Yeah, tarnagal. They called it a sechvi.
Are they talking about the local languages or?
Yeah.
local
That
dialect?
sounds like Greece.
It isn't Greek.
No, yeah, it sounds like a Greek origin. Nymph, I think
It
it
is
is.
Oh.
Ninfi is good.
So lakala ninfi micro. Where do we see this in the pasuk?
Daniel, take the rest of the day off.
Yefei knife mesais kalaretz. Beautiful, the joy of the whole world. Now, Yefei knife, I think, meant to an outlook or something, like a place where you can look over. But here it's saying Yefei knife, beautiful like a bride. I'm sorry, Professor. I'm sorry.
Karnov.
Karnov means like an outlook. You can right, a vista. Very good. You're good with words. That's pretty good. Very nice. I can never think of the word. Okay. Ulatanago sechvi, and they called the rooster a sechvi. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav, by saying Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Either Rabbi Yehuda says name of Rav or Rabbi Shua ben Levi, who would be earlier, possibly. Mikra, where do you see this? Mishas batuches chachma, who placed in the kidneys, batuches are the kidneys, chachma. Batuches is like the word for bitachin is also associated with batuches. There's two kidneys. There's two types of bitachin. I heard Rabbi Ginsburg saying this. There's the active and the passive. Okay, or who gives to the rooster understanding? That's the kidneys. Is that tarnagal. Who gives the rooster understanding? I guess to distinguish between when to crow, right? Rashi says lashon riyah.
So sexy then became a Hebrew word.
I guess so. Yeah. Originally it meant sight, and here we're saying it means a rooster. Levi went to a certain place. Levi is a student of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Also, Gavel Kameh. Someone comes to him. Mamalei tells him, "Kaban planya." The guy tells him that so and so was kaban me. So Le'aviyada my Kamalei, he didn't know what he's talking about. Also, Shal Bei Midrashos, they went to ask in the base Medrash. Amalei, or they told him Gazlan, Amalach. He stole from him. The Ksiv Hayikvad Melikim, can a person steal from God? Amalei Ravami Barnish Ravashi. So Ravami Barnish tells to Ravashi, Yahavi Hassam. If I was over there, Have Aminalei, I would have said, Heichi Kavach, how did he kavach you? The my kavach, what did he use to kavach you? But my kavach, why did he kavach you? I would have figured out from that conversation what kavach is. Yeah, it's like so you can't remember someone's name, so you say, remind me your first name and how do you spell your last name?
That's awesome.
Why does the Gemara spend all this time?
Because we were discussing the yoivel is a ram. And it's a ram based on in some other location. It's called a ram. So we started to get into yeah. That's how the conversation of the Gemara works. Yeah, they're all connected kabbalistically, but on the surface, that's what's happening. The EU Savar. So why didn't he say anything? Milsid the Surah Kamalei, that it was probably like a curse word. So he didn't want to start asking questions and repeating it. So he just left it alone. So, okay. I guess let's leave it over here. We could finish, but let's leave it.
Thank you, Rabbi. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Have a good day. Jimmy, how's everything?